The state of Tamil Nadu is home to over 62 million people, almost half of them female. Despite global efforts to reduce gender inequality in developing nations, women in India continue to struggle. This is due to the unique cultural obstacles they are presented with. The most pressing issue for women in India is the dowry system, which calls for a large sum of money to be paid to the groom at the time of marriage. Marriages are increasingly becoming a source of financial strain for the bride's family. The combination of dowry and wedding expenses usually add up to more than 10 times the amount the average civil servant earns in a year. For this reason, it's not surprising that lower-class Indian families would only want male children. Desire for male progeny has caused numerous problems for women, including female infanticide and feticide. Having large numbers of daughters in a family is viewed as a socio-religious curse, and for the girls themselves, it means a subordinate position in the family and society as a whole. Inadequate dowry or failure to meet the demands of the bridegroom's family often causes humiliation, trauma, and at the extreme end, the torture and death of brides. According to the dowry system, having a male child is seen as an asset, whereas a girl child is seen as a liability. Because of this, families feel little need to invest in their daughters. Education is not seen as a worthy investment because the money spent on schooling will never be directly refunded to the girl's family. Unequal share of property provides yet another obstacle for women. In most Hindu families, the eldest son inherits the wealth of the parents. Without property or the education to get a high-paying job, women become completely dependent on their husbands, adding to the cycle of male dominance. Women's employment in rural India consists largely of unskilled jobs with higher wages paid to men. The division of labor between men and women proves to be another problem, as women are left with the most painful and tedious of jobs in the field, while men supervise their backbreaking labor.
3 non-governmental organizations that work to address these issues are the MS Swaminathan Research Foundation, MSSRF, the Center for Ecology and Rural Development, CERD, and the Federation for Ecological Research, Advocacy, and Learning, FARO. All of these organizations use self-help groups as a base for empowering women. The act of empowering women involves deconstructing traditional gender roles so that men and women can be seen as equals. This includes increasing women's decision-making capacity and self-confidence. This empowerment can be psychological, political, and economic. In a context where formal bank loans are not an option and informal money lenders leave generations of family deep in debt, microfinance institutions, or MFIs, serve as a meaningful alternative source of capital for the lower-class population in India. Microfinance can be literally translated into small cash. MFIs are formed in cooperation between private donor agencies and NGOs to supply loans and other financial services. Women are the targets for microfinance because they are much more likely to use the money they earn towards increasing and sustaining the family's well-being. In India, Tamil Nadu in particular, the most popular form of microfinance is the self-help group model. In Tamil Nadu alone, there are 70,000 such groups. The SHG model typically involves somewhere between 12 and 20 women in a village who create a pool of savings. Each self-help group is run slightly differently, but typically the group will choose an amount of money they want to save each week that will then be placed into the common pool. After 3 to 4 months, the fund becomes large enough that the women can borrow and lend this money to use it for various needs, an upcoming wedding, pay medical bills, and house repairs, for example. This method is beneficial to the women because they are able to save money more effectively and have a resource in times of need or emergency.
She took 5,000 rupees to repair her house. Okay, she took 5,000 rupees for her daughter's wedding. Okay, house to repair the house. She has invested in her business. She runs a small tiffin shop from her house.
Economic empowerment is an important step in attaining gender equality, and it gets women involved in a sphere of life that is typically controlled by men.
If you take a woman, you give her a salary or an income, and she comes home with money, suddenly at the household level, at the relationship, the power relation between the husband and the wife changes. Because this person who's supposed to be the cook at home, taking care of the kids, and therefore without power, without anything, dependent on her husband, suddenly becomes not an equal, but at least she brings money to the household, and therefore she's got a say. She's got, her opinion are more valued. So often what you do to target something which should be awareness-based or rights-based, you actually target it by doing economic empowerment. Because women who bring money to the household, who contribute to the house economy, will have much more power.
SHGs can also be a base for political and psychological empowerment. They develop leadership skills and create space for sharing personal concerns and raising awareness about rights. In making decisions and working together to support one another, SHGs unite women within villages.
Now they're having an argument with the local supervisors because you have what we were talking about yesterday, that they should be digging so many feet per day per individual. Okay, these women say that is not possible by us. We are working, but we want 80 rupees as a daily wage, irrespective of how much we've been able to dig out.
The MS Swaminathan Research Foundation, or MSSRF, illustrates how self-help groups can empower women economically and politically. MSSRF is a non-profit organization that began in 1988. The organization's mandate states that its goals are to impart a pro-nature, pro-poor, and pro-woman orientation to a job-led economic growth strategy in rural areas through harnessing science and technology for environmentally sustainable and socially equitable development. In many rural areas, farmers can only cultivate one or two crops whose return depends completely on the external market. This puts farmers in a precarious economic situation and can lead to malnutrition. MSSRF works to address this problem by encouraging biodiversity and training women in new sustainable agricultural methods. One of these projects is a fish pond and duck house.